Hola, muchachos. Yes, buenos dias. Si es yours. It's me. I was hiding behind there. Yes. Now look. There are good things. There are bad things. And there are some dumb, ugly... What are you trying to say, Harry? There are good model kits. There are bad model kits. And there are some real ugly suckers. Yep. So in this video, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Roll the music. So, what have I got in store for you? Well, I have 10. There's a top 10, right? But they're not all going to be one or the other. Top 10 of things. Half of them are good. Some are bad. And just a couple are absolutely ugly. Yes, they were horrible kits that I almost gave up on. And in one case, I just had to basically sell the kit on. I couldn't finish it. I hated it. And it may not be the ones you think. If you've been watching this channel for a number of years, you know some of the kits I'm talking about. And as you go through, you think, oh, it's going to be Tamiya. It's going to whinge about Tamiya. Maybe not. Oh, it's going to be Italeri. Hates Italeri. Maybe not. Well, all the ones are going to be Airfix. No, actually. No. You'll be surprised. Now, my categorisation is not just that it's a good kit, okay? We all know good kits and shit kits. That's not the problem. It's a kit that I enjoyed building. So it could be a god-awful kit, but actually I didn't mind fixing it. I didn't mind doing it up, and it was quite good, you know? So it was a kit that had its problems, but I enjoyed it. Like a lot of Airfix kits, you know, they've got problems, but I enjoy doing them. But then there's other kits that might have been difficult, and I fixed them, but really I could never say they were actually good kit. In fact, they were bloody awful, really, in the long run. The experience was so horrible that no matter the outcome, it didn't matter. With other ones, the experience was difficult, but easy to overcome, and therefore the enjoyment was there. So you may be surprised what I think for me is a good kit, what for me is a bad kit, and then for me what I consider downright ugly, because it's not about how good a quality the kit is, and it's not even your experience. It's me. Me. You forget? It's my channel. It's all about me. So let's get on with it. Harry Houdini's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yes. That'll be interesting. We'll start off with the good. Yes, always best to do that. And we'll end with the really bad ones because, you know, that's when you need to go away and sort of have a bit of a cry. Well, I did. Anyhow, there are 5 good ones. 5 that I really like. In fact, there's probably more, but I kind of picked out 5 that stood out to me. And we'll do them in decreasing order from 5 to 1 of the good ones. And number 5 in that order is the Daimler-Benz. Now, surprisingly, this wasn't a good kit, right? It had missing parts, there's no instructions, it didn't fit very well, and I had to do a lot of adjusting to it. I had to scratch some parts to it, all of which I thoroughly enjoyed. It was a real challenge because if you've watched my channel, you know this kit just was given to me as a freebie going, oh, look, it's sort of broken, and I don't know, it's any good. Charlie gave it to me. And he said, there's no instructions, who knows? And so the challenge was, could I find the instructions? Yes, I found some instructions. Pretty horrible sort of JPEG of low resolution, but that was good enough, and it was pretty obvious how it went together. Some of the cogs and things to do with the motor, that helped. It helped having the instructions. And then there were bits missing, like there was a railing missing, which I made out of a paper clip, and a few other things I had to fix, and, you know, away I went. And I've even had to repair it recently because it broke in transit, and still I enjoyed doing that. I didn't go, put it back in the box, don't care. It's a kit I always care about because I had a smile on my face the whole time I was building it, and the final result I was really chuffed with. So for me, that was a good experience. Let's move on. Now, the next kit on my list was a Kugelblitz. And these are kits like the previous one from about 2015, 2016. They were early kits. In fact, this one was 2014 when I started it. It was the first kit that I'd made apart from the Warspite. Right, I built the Warspite. But then I sort of got this thing. I've been watching all these armour videos. Like, yeah, I wouldn't mind building a tank. Never built one before. So I got this kit. I went down to my local hobby shop and I wasn't going to spend much. And I'd spent like 2 shekels buying the horse fight. That's all I was going to spend, right? That's like about $13 American, right? That's all I was going to spend. I mean, I was still thinking money back in the 60s. So, I was thinking pounds, shillings and pence. So, a couple of pounds. Yeah, that'll be right. So 2 shekels, which, 20 Australian dollars. So I didn't want to spend much more than that. But the tanks were much more expensive. But they had this Kugelblitz that reduced from $30 down to $20, right? And it was, I think that was the price. Check back on the video if I'm lying, but it was reduced anyway. And it's a cyber hobby, which is like a dragon that sort of isn't a dragon kit. And so I thought, okay, I don't know much about this, I'll give it a go. But it had magic tricks and it had photo etch. So I thought, this is good, I'll experience these things. These things are new to me, right? These things are things I've never experienced in the hobby. And remember, I wasn't on YouTube then, so I didn't care. I was just building things because I was having fun. Didn't have to actually build them so you guys would look at them, criticise. No, generally you're good. Generally you're very good. And a lot of the comments are constructive criticism, and I appreciate that. There's only a few rivet counters, and we know what we do with them. But anyhow, the Kugelblitz was so much fun. I loved it. There were no rules. I actually even invented a way of doing the track links because I didn't like all the methods that I'd seen, and I sort of came up with my own method, which later on I kept using, and then I did videos on that method. It's actually how I met the Becker. He'd watched my method on doing track links and found it was really easy. So did many other people. And it was just simply taking everyone's good ideas, putting it together. But that was the thing. There was a challenge with it. I had to learn track links. I had a bit of photo etch the first time. It wasn't much, but, the kit wasn't that difficult. And the instructions were kind of misleading, typical sort of dragon-y type thing. That didn't matter. I had to do some research. I mean, with Warspite, I built the thing many times. I didn't really bother to even research it. But with this, I finally had to do a bit of research. And I found that, door hinges or something, or panel flaps were around the wrong way because they'd gone off a museum one when they'd actually been incorrectly put together, and so it opened a whole new world to me, and I really found I enjoyed armour. So for me, the Kugelblitz was fun, and it is number 4 on my list. And the next kit is a motorbike. No, it's not a Triumph. I rode Triumphs, but it's a BMW. I never owned a BMW. I owned a BMW motor car, but not a motorbike. No. And this kit, I loved it. I started it in 2018 and I finished it during the plague in 2020. In fact, that seemed to be the rule for a lot of kits. They all got finished around 2020 when I checked all my lists. I really got a lot of stuff done then, yes. Yeah, I need another apocalypse so I can actually get some modelling done. This working for a living sucks. But anyhow, yeah, it wasn't a kit without its problems. It was old Airfix. I mean, it's a 1970s kit from memory, and it's a fair size. It's supposed to be about 1/9. I think I worked it out. It was about 1/11 or something. But it was beautifully moulded because they were pretty crisp and clean back then. That's before the moulds all wore out, before the plastic bloody got horrible. And then there's, all those dreadful kits later on, or reissues of old kits that now are dreadful because the plastic's wrong and doesn't fit the moulds and it doesn't work. But back then, in the 60s and 70s, the plastic was good, the kits were good for their time, and surprisingly, a lot of those early Airfix kits are really crisp and clean. I've shown that with a number of reviews I've done. So this particular BMW was lovely out of the box, not a problem at all. There were a few shortcomings with the frame. It didn't quite go together, and I looked in a couple of forums and had a look at what other people had done. Yeah, they all said the same thing. Kind of warps a little bit, gets out of shape, but there were ways of getting around it, and I used their ideas just to tweak it a bit, and it wasn't that much of drama. It was about the biggest problem I had was that. It really wasn't that difficult. The one thing that I really enjoyed was doing the metal effects, because I needed things like gloss black, but then I needed matte black. I needed gloss on the tank and the frame, but then I needed some matte black on the tyres and also the seat. So, I needed sort of dull colours, bright colours. The same with the silvers. I needed a duller aluminium for the engine block, but then I needed a chrome for the tailpipes. So I had to learn these techniques of using different types of paint and putting different top coats on them, or brushing in different things. And especially with the chrome, I had to do a black gloss, and then I had to go over the top with the chrome spray, and I even had to use enamel paint for that. Was the only thing I could find to get the effect I wanted. So I learnt a lot of techniques doing it, had a lot of fun, wired up all the bloody lines and everything with basically the brakes and the gear shift and all the rest of it, and the wiring from the spark plugs. It was a lot of fun to do, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So it is number 3 in my top 10, top 5 of the goodies. Yes, we're getting to the ships now. Yes. So yes, the most favourite kits are the ships. Of course. And this is number 2, right? The second best out of the best. And it's my Bounty. You probably would have thought it was number 1. Yes, number 1, that's the one you really loved. Yeah, I did. I loved the Bounty. It was a great kit. I did a lot of things on it that I'd done before in piece, but I never put them all together into one kit. I built sails for other things. I had done rigging with blocks for some things, but I'd never taken a plastic kit and applied everything to it that I knew and come up with that. And I also researched. I got proper rigging guides instead of just making it up like I did from my own knowledge, which wasn't far off being true. I'd hung around bloody ships and boats all my life, right? Dad was in the Navy. We were sailing, going out and looking on ships all the time. I sort of knew a lot of it just out of proxy because I'd been there, done that, right? But I did the research. I got it as close as possible and as accurate for the kit, and I had so much fun. Not only that, this was a period where I was really depressed and I needed something to cheer me up. And I started building this with no intention of it ever going to YouTube. It was going to be a private project, so I had no stress, no expectation. And because of that, I scratch built so much on it. It's one of my most popular series, and money-wise, I mean, it's got the greatest monetization if you add them all together of anything I've ever done. It is my best video series. But that's not what this video is about. This video about is, did I enjoy the experience? And yes, I did. Why did I enjoy it? Because I had no expectations. It was going from being really depressed because I'd moved to Brisbane the time before and I hated where I lived because I was in a city, and I'm not a city mouse, I'm a country mouse, so it didn't work. Living in the city was cheap, sort of, but it didn't really work. Didn't like any of the curry restaurants near there. Miserable as all hell. Didn't like the drains from the neighbour upstairs and the Chinese washing. I was just a nightmare where I was living. I wasn't used to that sort of very close quarters cohabitation. So the Bounty was a way for me to get out of that. I just absorbed myself into it. It's an average sort of kit. It's okay. You can build it out of the box. All right. But there's lots of things you can do to fix all the mistakes in it. And that's what I did. I went about methodically, took my time, and it only took me about a year or so. I started at 2018 and finished it in 2020. So, I just took my time doing it. It took me over a year to do the rigging. I only did that bit by bit because I thought if I did a whole lot of rigging videos, everyone would be bored. So I sort of only do one rigging video a month, and I went through all the different things. So I taught myself and I shared with you a whole lot of stuff about rigging, and it led me to coming up with the rat heart because I went, gotta be a better way to do this. Gotta be a better way to do these shrouds and everything than trying to bloody tie them on. And so that actually created that invention, which then created my whole business of selling rigging tools. So there you go. That is Bounty. Let's move on to my most favourite, enjoyable, bestest number 1 kit. We hearties. Yes, what's the next ship? Number 1 kit on this list, for the moment, of the most enjoyable build I've had. It's the Junk. It really is. The Junk, it was just so nice. It's not very well moulded. It's okay, but it's not super crisp. Didn't care. It's not super detailed. Didn't care. I just went with what it was, used it as a blank palette, and I painted all these different colours on it, which I did some research for. And I had fun doing the wood effects, and I had fun sort of doing everything that, put it together. And then the rigging, I didn't even go for the proper rigging. I researched all that, and they went, nah, it's too much work. Not for this kit, for this not that good a quality sort of kit. And I thought, I will follow the kit's instructions for rigging because that might help someone else, right? Because someone else might just go, if they saw what I was going to do with the real rigging, it's really complex. My idea was go with what was shown in the instructions. So if somebody else is building this kit out of the box, they can see, oh, look, that rigging kind of works. And that's what I did. I used the blocks that were in the kit, and I used even the cordage that was in the kit. Only thing I changed is I added a little brass eyelet for one stay that I wanted to put in, and another different coloured cordage for the stays, right? The forward stays, which I felt would need to be stronger. But everything else, I did it exactly as per the manual. And I didn't mind doing that. It was sort of nice to just follow what they had. And what they had aesthetically looks okay. From a distance, if you don't really know junk rigs, it's close. It looks okay. Many people went, oh no, it should have this, it should have that. I know. I knew that. And I chose not to because I wanted to build it out of the box. That was my premise. And because of that, I really enjoyed every part of it. There was no single part where I was frustrated. I had creative freedom in the things I did with the colours on the deck and colours on the side, and and it sort of made it out to be a gaudy sort of pirate ship in some ways. Well, I ended up not putting the cannons on it on the deck. Well, the deck swivel cannons, didn't care. At that point I went, nah, it looks good, stop, I'm really happy with this. And that was the thing. I enjoyed the process. This was scale modelling in its essence for me. When I go on about, enjoy it. Don't do it because it has to be super accurate. Don't do it. There's no point counting all the rivets. It's going to frustrate you. Okay, there are times I count rivets for me because I want to do something exact for me. You don't have to, right? I did. And this was a time where I didn't need to count any rivets. I don't care. Built it out of the box. I even did the rigging out of the box. Used all the kit parts, except for those swivel cannons. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So for me, that's a perfect kit that I can simply buy it, build it, paint it, rig it, fun. And I did the whole thing in 2 months, which, pretty good for me when I've got ships that are still going years later. So a quick build, a fun build, a very enjoyable build. That is my number one in the good category. That's good for me. I like it. Those were the good ones. Yes, I was happy with all those builds, especially the last one, the junk. Yes, I really enjoyed the junk. And this is the thing, it's the enjoyment of the build and maybe the paint job, which I don't normally like, but I enjoyed painting the junk. I really did. In fact, I like doing the ships with the wood effects and things like that. So, it's one time I actually do enjoy the painting. Now, we've got the bad ones to go, and they're all shot. I have filmed all of that, and Basker's busy editing it. But that'll be next week. You'll have to wait. So, there's plenty of time to think, what's he going to put in there? Are they going to be Tamiya kits? Would he dare put an Airfix kit into the bad ones? What is it? It's going to be one of those horrible Zvezda kits. I know, it's Italy. It'll be that Fiat. Maybe. There's a whole week for you to have a think about it and think what are going to be the bad and especially the downright ugly. Yes, they're all coming up. But anyhow, look, if you enjoyed this, I don't know if the buttons actually do anything anymore, but by all means, hit buttons because that's a fun thing to do. Yes, fun thing to do. And the buttons we've got are good, bad, ugly. Of course. So, thank you for watching and stay tuned till next week because we will have the ugly and the bad ones. Yep. And then, I know, there's a giant cat here. There's a giant cat here trying to be. So it's goodbye from Australia, and it's hooray from Harry and Eddie.